sweet spot. I'm feeling good. The sun is shining. I knew it would. The world's a playground. I'm in the clouds. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Just check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Just check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. I'm on the big stage. I got my crew. I'll get you moving. It's what I do. The party's started. It's going down. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Just check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Just check it out. I'm gonna light it up. Yeah, I'm gonna light it up. Let me show you what it's all about. Check it out.
Hey there, hi everyone, and welcome to this live stream from Bajao. We are here with two incredible individuals, good friends of ours. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Jai Row Kavi, and I'll also introduce to you Mr. Kuber Sharma. So what are we going to do today? Today we have a gorgeous drum set up. We're going to talk about Jai's choice for drums, choice of heads, choice of sticks, cymbals, whatever you guys want to know from him, please, this is the right time to ask. Then we dive into what mics we've got placed on the drum kit, and after that we're going to have like a nice little listening session. We'll try out various microphones, we'll try out the room mics, overhead microphones, various combinations, and we'll see kind of what works best. And right at the end we'll do a surprise playthrough of three very famous, very popular songs. Leave it up to you guys to guess which songs Jai is going to play, but for now let's turn it over to Jai and Kuber. Hey guys.
Hi. Hey, what's up?
What's happening? How are you guys?
We're good. How are you today?
I'm awesome. It's been a good journey getting this set up and all that ready.
Yeah.
We're all sound guys, but and drummers, but
Almost sound guys.
almost sound guys and drummers. And at some point, we like to dabble into video stuff as well. So first, Jai, tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us about the equipment that you use. Tell us about skins, your choice of skins.
Sure.
Why do you choose certain skins?
Sure.
Just for these drums had some different skins on them, and then Jai brought his own skins and changed everything around, and we think it sounds great. So Jai, over to you.
Yeah. So I mean, when you called and asked me to do this, I was pretty excited because I love experimenting as much as I can. So, and my drums currently are in my studio rigged up because I'm actually working on some new material that Warren Mendonsa has been working on, and it's rigged up and ready to record there. So I was like, maybe I'll just use the house kit. And this is a lovely Pearl Masters in bright red sparkle. That's the finish. It's an all maple kit.
Wow.
And it's a very basic setup that we have today, just one rack, one floor, 22-inch kick, 12, 16. And I wanted to make sure that we had fresh heads because that's very important when you're recording drums.
Yep.
So what I went with today is are the Evans EC2 glossy. Like the finish is, they're in between clear and coated.
Right.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds, and it's the first time I'm using them, and
Right.
I'm really happy, the way they sound.
Yeah.
And I bought a couple of snare drums today.
You have a thing for snare drums.
I do.
So, for me, sir, what's your snare drum count at this moment?
I think it's about 9, 10 maybe.
So basically, you could buy a small car.
You definitely, most certainly could. Most certainly could. But it probably wouldn't sound as good if I hit the car. No, but today with me I have my Pearl Reference 20 ply, which is 14 plies of birch and 6 of maple.
Wow.
And an alternate snare is the Pearl Brass that I have here. It's a 3mm super thick brass snare drum.
Right.
And both these drums are super chunky.
Right.
It's just the way they sound. They have a ton of weight on them, and the heavy drums to begin with.
Yeah.
And as far as heads, for this guy, I've got a brand new UV1 Evans, which is what they actually do is they actually blast like UV rays, and that's how they get the coating on there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, and they almost never fade out. Like usually on coated heads, you'll see them over time fade out.
Fading.
The coating kind of dies out.
Yeah.
But this will stay on forever.
Nice.
And so yeah, we swapped the heads out, tuned a bit.
So your regular setup is with the kit that you
That I
record at
tour
home.
with.
You
Yeah.
record at home from.
Yeah.
I mean, for everyone's information, Jai has now got a kick-ass home recording setup. It sounds ridiculous. It's a small room, but it's treated quite well.
Yeah, I got really lucky with the way it sounds. Kapil Thirwani actually built it for me, and the idea was just to make a soundproof room at that point.
Yeah.
And of no intention of making it into a recording studio, and it actually worked out really well. And then the pandemic happened, and it was like, what am I going to do, right? There's only so much you can watch stuff, and it's like, okay, I got to do something.
Right.
And that was the best time, and I called you guys for help, the both of y'all, and Warren. That's when I got
our good friend.
Yeah, our good friend and fellow gearhead. And it sounds way better than.
So
I started with 4 mics. I remember, that's all, and that was the bang in the middle of the lockdown where it was hard to even get a cable.
Yeah, we didn't even from us at Shure, we didn't have any gear available at that point. So it's like the first bit of gear that came. We said, okay, let's start with 4 mics, and then slowly we built it up.
Yeah.
So a lot of the mics that we have here are also part of Jai's home setup.
Yeah.
So, but that setup is 2 rack toms, 2 floor toms.
At the moment, it's 1 rack, 3 floor. So
One
it's a
rack and
12,
3 floor.
14, 16, 3 toms.
3 toms, yeah.
2 mics on the snare drum, top and bottom.
Top and bottom, yeah.
2 mics for the kick drum. 2 overheads.
Yeah.
2 rooms and 1 hi-hat mic. So total of 12 at home.
12 mics at home.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a, and we've heard some of the recordings that have come from there. They sound pretty awesome.
Even for me, I mean, like what you have to understand is I had no idea how to even set up a Cubase session.
Yeah.
Exactly a year ago.
Starting from scratch, basically.
Yeah, like absolutely starting from scratch, because I spent my entire, my professional life playing drums and focusing on that. And if I did any session work, it would be at a studio where I just show up with my gear, record the song, and leave.
Yeah.
And a lot of it would just bounce over my head, right? All the
you've got to learn from scratch now.
Yeah, and it's awesome, man. It's been a great experience, because now I don't know if I find myself playing a lot differently when you're recording and you're experimenting and you're trying things, and it's been fun like that.
Yeah. Cool. So while we're on what mics we have in there, I'll turn it over to Kuber. Kuber, what mics? We went through a lot of choices of microphones when we started there.
Yeah.
We in fact started with a set of PGA microphones. I mean, they were okay. They do the job. If it's something that you're setting up for the first time.
They were surprisingly pretty good.
Yeah, surprisingly pretty good.
And we had a 57. You have to have a 57 when you start, right?
Yeah, I think it was 157 mic, one kick mic, 1 snare mic,
and
2 overheads.
Yeah.
So it was, I think, a 91 and then PGA 181 for the overheads, and we were using a 57 for the snare at that time.
So cool. What do we have going today? What mics do we have going in today?
Today we have quite a good, interesting setup actually. We have, let's just start with the kick drum. We have a Beta 91A, and Beta 52 in the kick drum. They're both pretty much like over each other. Like, you know, one is sitting on the pillow, like you would typically keep it, and then the other one is just sitting right over it.
And what's the benefit of that as opposed to maybe having the mic outside?
So definitely you lose a little bit of low end when you take the when you keep the mic in, like I kept it, the Beta 52, but it's kind of perfectly in phase with the in mic, so I don't really have to flip polarity, and I don't have to try and get them in time, so that you know that way you get fuller low end. It's like the in, to put it short. It's a common trick actually, even for live sometimes when there's a pillow inside. And it's difficult to get the 52 in. You just put it on the pillow right next to the 91, and as in the same line as possible, so that you don't have to worry about phase so much.
See, aren't you impressed? I know that.
Yeah, Jai knows what phase is. That's wild. That's crazy. He knows what phase is. He knows how to record on Cubase. He knows how to set up a session, how to EQ, how to compress. Like he's a
progress.
Champ.
Although it did take me about 3 months to learn how to punch in.
Whatever time it takes, as long as it gets the job done. Cool. What do we have on the snare?
So on
today?
The snare, we actually have 3 microphones today. For the top, we have 2. We have a Beta 56A and we have a secret weapon KSM9, which is where off late we've been experimenting with that mic a lot, and it's turned out to be like quite a revelation because. So, and on the bottom we have a Beta 98, which is the same thing that we have on the rack tom over here, and we have an SM27 on the floor tom. We have 2 KSM 32s, large diaphragm condensers for overheads. And then, if we can see over there, we have
in the room mics, we've got a pair of
KSM 313.
KSM 313, and we have a
44.
What is that? What do we have there?
We
have a 313 and a 44. KSM 44.
So the 313 is a ribbon, and the 44 is actually running in figure 8. And then we've got like the 2, like one side of the ribbon is facing left and right, and the other side is facing front and back. It's called a Blumlein miking technique.
And we'll chat more about that when we actually come back to the console, and we can see, you know, some things that have been done there on specifically these mics. But just again, the 313 is the red mic that you see on top. It's a ribbon mic. It's bi-directional. Quite commonly used for room, quite commonly used for guitars, used for vocals. And we have a KSM 44 below that, which is in cardioid.
No, it's in bi-directional as well. So we
both are in bi-directional. Oh, okay, nice. So it's basically almost like you've got a bi-directional one facing this way, and you've got bi-directional another one facing this way.
One facing front and back, and one facing left and right.
So you're pretty much picking up the entire room. And I guess the idea with having these mics like this is that you want to listen to the drums as naturally as they would sound in the room.
Kind of like mimicking what the ear would kind of listen to, because your ear would kind of pick up the reflections coming off the walls as well. You're not just listening from the front. Also on the hi-hat, we have another Beta 98, which is just underneath. It's more just to pick up some extra dry articulation. I mean, the overheads do a very good job of just picking up the hi-hat by themselves. So it's just to fill in the space if you ever need.
And I guess that's what we'll do. Like when we have Jai playing, he's going to play like a small section of 8 bars and just repeat that. And each time he plays, we're just going to listen to different sets of microphones. So, you know, we'll start with I think the most important thing for drums is to capture it on a recording, kind of as close to what it sounds like in the room. And if you can achieve that, then but that takes time and experimenting, I think.
A little bit of effort.
Basically capture it as clean as you can, as organic as you can, and then you can do stuff.
And the thing is, like, if you stand in the room right now and you hear Jai play, it's it is loud, but how do you capture that loudness and make it impactful in the recording as well? I think that takes the most. Putting the mics on is nice. Choice of mics is important, of course, but knowing where to place them, how to treat them, which we'll have a look at later, I think is most important. So that's our setup. We have 2 mics on the kick, 3 on snare. We've got a 98 also on the hats. We've got a 98 on the toms, 98 AMP. There's an SM27, which is also another surprise because that's also typically a vocal mic.
Yeah, we're trying it out for the first time.
Trying it out for the first time.
Sounds quite amazing.
Yeah, sounds quite good. And
I mean,
case,
at my house we were using this
The
guy,
Beta 56.
Beta
for
56
for the
there, yeah.
Which is
second
a
floor.
commonly used tom
yeah,
mic,
it's quite commonly used. Both, I mean, the 56 is apart from the 57. If you're using something else, most of the time it will be a
50,
Beta
yeah.
56.
We actually did the 56 because I mean the 57 is pretty commonly covered as a snare mic.
Yeah, no one wants to listen to a 57. It's
so
done.
we did a 56 and then
Yeah.
we're going to compare it against a KSM 9.
Yeah, the KSM 9 I think for us was quite surprising
Yeah.
because it's typically a vocal microphone. It's I don't know if anyone's put it on a snare before. I hope people start doing it now. But
It
it's
does sound
yeah.
very different.
It sounds very different,
Captures
yeah.
very
So
different.
normally in a studio you take a 57 and then you clip a condenser next to it.
Yeah.
Normally, so the condenser kind of fills out the extremes of the spectrum,
Yeah.
which is like the big fat bottom end and the shiny tops. This mic seems to have like both. It's like having two mic clip, but you only
Yeah.
have one mic. So
Yeah.
that was the thing, more than anything else.
more than anything else. Yeah, yeah,
And
fair
actually, I have some. I mean, I tried to get small setup, but a variety of sounds going. So I've got
enough.
drier hi-hats, I've got a loud ride, loudish ride, and a big 22-inch crash. And what I do want to show you guys is just throw on some mutes and change the entire
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way the drums
Drums
sound.
sound.
Yeah. I mean, that's you know, part of this exercise is also, of course, to listen to the microphones, but also know with the same microphones, with not much settings changed, and we have some settings going here. We have some EQ and all that kind of stuff. But how you can radically change the sound of the drums to fit a different style of music.
Pretty much through damping without actually changing anything on the EQs.
Yeah.
Just damping in mic blend can
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
change the way the
Yeah, and for that listening session, we've got 3 songs chosen. One is
They're not entire songs though.
They're not
just
entire
little
songs.
clips.
They're just they're clips. One is a never mind. Let's not say.
Yeah.
We'll go to that
I
later.
can, yeah.
Okay,
talk
cool.
about that.
So I'm going to call Kuber over here now, and we're going to start listening to some microphones.
Yep.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Thanks, Kuber.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I hope you guys. It would be a good idea to have like a pair of headphones, because that's the way you'll probably. It might not translate too well on like a what do you call it, on a phone or a laptop. But if you have a pair of headphones, that would be great. Just connect it up. Rock and roll. Turn up the volume and let's have some fun.
Yep.
So we're now going to listen to the drums, and we're going to listen to just the overhead mics to start out with.
Just the room mics to start with. Actually.
Start with the room
Yeah.
mics. Okay, we're going to
Real
start.
quick, I just want to say there's like no dampening on the toms. Like I said, these are EC2 frosted, so they're kind of on the drier side, warm. And on the snare drum, I do have a little piece of cloth that I have lately found works best for me. It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Like this room, I came in here with this snare drum and it's pretty loud. I can show you what it sounds like with and without the cloth.
Cloth,
So
yeah.
we can
yeah.
do that as well.
Okay. So cool. Let's. We're gonna now turn off our mics. Otherwise, if Jai plays through our labs, everyone's gonna get deaf, including us. So let's switch to. We're gonna first listen to
Just
the
the room mics.
So I'm
room
just gonna
mics.
play a simple groove for you
Yeah.
and just
Yeah,
8
the room
bars.
mics you can see in the inset right now. So it's the KSM 313, the red mic, and the 44 that's below it. So yeah, let's go. Let's
Yeah.
listen to rooms.
Yes,
Give us a second to turn you up. Okay, so those were the 2 room mics that we had there. And, I mean, at least to my ears, it sounds a softer version of exactly what we are listening to in this room. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much very close to
Yeah,
what it sounds like.
very
in that
close to what it
position.
sounds like. Yeah, gives you a nice natural feel of what the drums sound like in this room. You can get some impact from the kick. You can hear the crack of the snare really nicely. Cymbals, everything seems quite in control, basically. Cool. Let's switch over to. Let's now listen to. We'll turn off the room mics and we'll go to the. We'll switch to the overhead mics, which are a pair of KSM 32s.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. That was. What do you think?
That actually captures the kit really nicely. It picks up everything. It's got like, it definitely focuses on the cymbals a little bit, but I can still hear like the low end on the snare. I can still hear some kick drum fatness coming out of it.
Right, right.
Quite, I mean, very, very full frequency. And
Yeah,
very nice.
You can hear the snare drum pretty clearly.
Pretty clearly,
I mean,
yeah. A very natural sounding snare drum coming through those.
And of course, like, the higher you are, as in, the problem with my house is we can only go about 54 inches from the snare. 55 maybe. I think today we did about
62, 63.
Yeah, so they're pretty high.
Yeah. How did you measure the distance of
good old tape?
Yeah, you take a measuring tape and you find, say, I don't really go by any ratio, but like you can take a measuring tape and you can go, you measure the one out on the left of the drummer first from the snare. The idea is that the snare is not on the same plane because one overhead is further away from the other one.
Right.
So the one on the right of Jai is actually lower than the one on the top, and they're actually equally measured with a measuring tape.
Right.
That way the snare stays in the center of the overhead sound rather than leaning over to one side, which is typically the left.
And that's actually a problem later on too. It's not a problem, but it's
again
tough to sort it out later on. Yeah.
You can have phase issues.
You can have phase issues definitely with that. Phase of the, once you actually introduce the kick drum along with the overheads, if things are, you need to, be aware of phase over there as well. So what do you want to do now? You want to do...
Let's fill in. Typically what you would do is, if you had a 3 mic setup at home, you'd put up 2 overheads and then you would fill that in with a kick drum mic or 2.
Yeah,
so
cool.
let's just do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to unmute the overheads and I'm going to unmute the kick drum mics and then Jai's going to play a groove again.
Yep. That was pretty cool. That was just that was both the kick drum mics, yeah.
Yeah, that was both the kick drum.
Both the kick drum mics and the 2 overheads.
So you can get a pretty complete sounding drum recording if you just keep a kick drum mic to, even one kick drum mic and a couple of overheads can give you a pretty good picture of what the kit is. And if you're not really, making very dense music, it's easy to record drums with just those 3 mics if you want, or 4 mics.
Yeah. And like, that's the evolution of recording drums, because no one had 16 channels back in the day to record. It was first 1 channel and then went to 2 and then it went to 3 and then it went to 4 and now here is where we are.
4 is typically what people would use the most like.
Yeah.
So
cool. Let's now switch to, shall we bring in the room with this or we bring in the room later?
Let's bring in the room.
Bring in the room with this,
So room, overhead, kick drum.
Yeah.
That's it so far. Okay.
Okay, cool. So, let's do that.
Let's just check that.
Yeah.
Yep. That was
meaty.
Nice. That was meaty.
Meaty.
It's like you hear those mics that we had on the overheads and the kick, and now you have more perspective of what that sound actually is.
Like the size of the space.
The size of the space. Yeah. It just sounds bigger. The kick and the 2 overheads, it sounded great, but it does not give you the bigness of
having a couple of room mics.
Of having a couple of room mics, Cool.
And now I think what we're going to do is
bring in the snare.
Let's just bring in the snare. Yeah.
So in fact, let's do one thing. Since we have 3 snare mics, we're going to get Jai to play the same groove, but we only listen to first the Beta 56.
Yep.
Then we listen to the KSM 9. And
we listen to it with the bottom mic.
Listen to it with the bottom mic, yeah. And you should be able to notice in one of them, you should be able to notice a decent amount of difference with respect to the bleed picked up from the hi-hats. The KSM 9 is in supercardioid, so it's very, very narrow.
Very
picks up
tight
only the
pattern.
snare. It should reject a good amount of hats and cymbals, whereas the 56 is cardioid, so you should be able to,
56 also super.
56 is also super,
Super,
but
yeah.
it's little wider. It's not as narrow. It's not as tight as the KSM 9. So cool. Let's listen to the 3 snare mics.
So let's just first listen to the 56.
You can turn off the rooms and everything else.
Okay, so let's just
We just listen to
just the snares.
just the snares. Yeah,
Okay, so let's just do just
kicks
the
also.
snares.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So this is the beta 56
The 56.
and the 98 in the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no gating on the snare. There's nothing. This is pretty. As you can see, it actually does reject the hi-hat a lot, and it's not picking up as much as it like ordinarily a regular cardioid mic would.
Cardioid mic does. Yeah.
But now we can just listen to the KSM 9.
Yeah.
Same.
Our new favorite.
Yeah, the new favorite. I think everyone will notice that it's a lot thicker and brighter both at the same time.
Yeah. And this snare, in fact, it's got so much low end, natural low end from the sound, and I think the KSM 9 does a little more justice of picking that up.
capturing,
Well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Definitely a difference in tonal quality.
was a lot fatter.
A lot fatter.
Yeah, it's a 6.5, so it's deep and it's a super thick shell,
Yeah.
and it's tuned kind of towards the higher side of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it still manages to capture all those qualities. Like that's what
Right.
I'm going for in a snare sound. Is I want that low end and I want that crack.
Right.
So that's even if you hear cross stick,
Yeah.
you want to check that out and see what.
Yeah.
the
Let's try cross stick
let's
with. Do you want to keep
The KSM 9 again.
KSM
and we'll
9?
go back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Picks it up very clean.
Nice
Crisp,
natural
yeah.
cross stick
Very
sound.
crisp. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good cross stick sound.
Let's listen to the 56 in the cross stick.
Yeah.
Yep.
It should not be.
Shouldn't be vastly different, but
Yeah, but it won't definitely will not get the same amount of crispiness
Yeah.
coming from this one. Yeah. So let's try that cross stick pattern once more. Yeah, definitely different. Definitely.
less definition. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds good. It sounds still quite
Yeah,
thick, but like not the same level of
Yeah.
detail as the KSM
Detail.
9.
Yeah. The detail. I think the whole game with having mics up and the choice of mics is just the attention to detail, picking up the nuances, especially when it comes to drums, because things like ghost notes,
Changes the texture.
changes the texture. It adds a lot of a lot of vibe. If you don't hear those ghost notes, then it's like a little defeated.
Yeah.
You're cheating the drummer basically.
The performance.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? If you're trying to capture everything that the drummer's playing,
Yeah. Yeah.
as clean as possible, and so
Cool.
yeah.
So let's switch to the.
Let's check out the tom mics.
Yeah, we'll get the rest of the mics also on now, like the.
Let's listen to each tom one by one, and then we can get the whole kit
Yeah.
in with everything
Yeah,
blended
yeah,
in correctly.
yeah.
Maybe even a little bit of reverb.
Yeah. So we'll start with just the tom mics on.
Yeah.
And we'll get Jai to play a little longer, and then we'll, as he keeps playing, we'll turn on all the other mics. So by the end of it, the last few bars, you should be able to hear the drum kit in entirety, basically. Yeah. Okay. So yep, let's
Start with the tom
let's start
mics.
with the toms, and then we'll open all the other stuff.
Yep.
Let's go. You'll have to keep going a little longer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
So we're almost there.
Are
We
you
got a few
sorry?
more
Were
mics
you
to-
riding the other mics up as well?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
we're turning up
okay,
all
my
the
bad.
other stuff as well.
My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. Cool. Go for it.
Go
We'll
ahead.
continue from
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is some processing on that you guys have.
Yeah, we have a bit
Basic
going on, and
EQ.
we'll actually go through. You know,
Some of
we'll give Jai a few minutes break, and we'll actually switch over to console view, and we'll just get a look
what
to where
exactly is
can
going on.
take you through what stuff that is going on. So let's give me a second here, and it's this is pretty much stuff that needs to be. It doesn't need to be done. Everyone's taste and flavor will be slightly different. But these are just pretty typical settings that you should see on a mixed drum track. So let's switch to that. And so let's see what you have going here, Kuber.
So this is what you're looking at is the kick-in microphone, and what I've done is I've gated it a little bit. I've actually, if you look at it, I've keyed the gate, which basically means the gate is only reading on your left. If you look, it's only reading a certain spectrum of the frequency. So what I've told the gate is only look at the low end. Which that means that I can leave the threshold relatively more gentle as compared
Otherwise,
to.
it just starts opening with snare drum and
And it starts choking. If you tighten the threshold too much, then it starts
Choking
choking
the
the
kit.
drum out. So to be able to get like a nice clean gate, you can just key the gate like this. And what I've done on the EQ over here is I've just dumped a bunch of the mid-range, which is pretty typical, around 400, 450 hertz. You'll like in most kick drums you'll find yourself taking out a bunch of those. And I'm actually using this mic only for a bunch of point, the Beta 91. The main meat of the kick drum is actually coming from this, which is the Beta 52, which has just got a little bit of a low end bump. And again, I've just dumped some of that mid range, which is like 463 and 248. Little bit I've taken out.
Right.
And then the same kind of gating. There's no compression on the kick.
But that's the very typical EQ for. It would be slightly different if you had the Beta 52 out. Because you would capture a little more low end.
But less top end.
But less top end, less attack. And like for studio, having it outside works a little better. Again, it depends on the style of music you're doing and whatnot. But for
live application,
specifically for Jai's style of playing, I think this having the 52 inside seems to work a little better.
It's more focused and it picks up the. I mean, I don't. As you can see, I've not boosted any top end on this. So
correct.
It's the 91 that's filling out the top end, and then it's the Beta 52 that's giving you the low end. And then on the snare, this is the 56, which is muted right now, but it's very typical processing again. I've just taken out some mid range, pushed a little bit of lows, pushed a little bit of tops, and it's got no gating, a very small amount of compression.
Yeah.
If you look at the compressor, it's just
Just touching it.
yeah. I mean,
barely.
I can actually mute labs, and then you can maybe just check out what's happening on the compressor. I can ask Jai to play.
Yeah.
1 second. So you can see it's the same
This is on
similar
the
compression.
56.
This is on the KSM9 now,
KSM9, yeah.
which is on. So I'm
Yeah.
going to mute our mics, and Jai can just hit the
Right,
snare
right.
drum, and you can hear what's
Right,
happening in
right,
the
right,
compressor.
right.
So you can see
very
it's just like
subtle. Very subtle.
3 dB
Yeah.
when he's really whacking it, but it's not
Yeah.
really doing that much. But
Yeah.
it's also in the EQ. It's just basic, just shaving off some
Yeah.
mid-range, the
Yeah.
honky mid-range. If I
Yeah.
shut off the EQ
Yeah.
and you listen to the mic, you'll maybe get a better idea. I'm going
Yeah.
to switch this EQ off.
Yeah.
And I'm going
That's
to
cool.
mute, and then you can play the snare.
Yep. Just
You
play
want
the
just-
snare. This
just
is a
sing-
snare without EQ.
Just the
Just
snare.
single hits?
Just single hits is
okay.
fine.
Actually,
yeah.
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mute out everything else as well, so that you can hear just the snare mic.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So as you can see, I
Yeah.
just muted and unmuted the EQ a bunch of
Yeah.
times. One with the reverb on, and then a couple of times with the reverb off. You can see it just takes a little bit of the honkiness on the
Yeah.
snare out, and gives it a little bit of shine and bottom, but
Yeah.
like nothing major. I don't
You
think
just
it's like
you always need to be a little cautious about what do you call it? Cautious about things like when you are processing stuff, because sometimes you can, it starts sounding nice with a little, and then you want to go more, and then you want to go more.
yeah.
And
You got to
sometimes
know
you
when
need
to
just
stop.
when to stop. Just take a step back.
Yeah.
Have maybe take a break, come back after a few minutes, then listen to it again, and
Especially in the studio where
especially
you
in the studio.
keep experimenting. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Cool.
Yeah, so that was what's happening on the snare drum with a little bit of reverb and stuff.
Yeah.
Then snare bottom, pretty much the same. If you look at it, it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just taking out a little bit of the honky mid-range, boosted a little bit of tops because I want to hear the wires.
Yeah.
Hi-hat, I've like kind of mutilated, but this is the dry hi-hat mic, and
Yeah.
if you just shave off, it's just for the point.
Yeah.
Again, with the toms, it's key gated. As you can see, the gates are told that to look at only the frequency range that is in black right now.
Right.
And so that way, when he hits the tom, it picks up. It's sensitive to the tom, but not sensitive to anything else. Same
Yeah.
way as the kick drum.
And you can do, it's just important for everyone to understand that it's not about just the console that we're using. We have a small Allen and Heath desk, but you can do this on pretty much any desk. It's a common studio practice as well.
We're not doing anything fancy. in
Yeah,
terms of
nothing
using
fancy.
any
It's quite,
fancy
it's
tools.
just common, what's normally done. It's quite common.
Keyed gating is just
Yeah.
a normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just to clean up, just typically how you would clean up a drum sound. Same thing with the other tom, except for I've told it to focus a slightly lower since it's the
Yeah.
floor tom.
Yeah.
And then the overheads, they have a little bit of compression running, like a basic type of compressor, or FET compressor.
Yeah.
And they have a little bit of EQ.
Yep.
Which is again just shave off some of the mid-range.
Yeah.
And what we've basically done, what's interesting in this for today is that is what's with the room mics.
Yeah.
What we've
In
done
fact, we had quite a few questions from regarding room mics, and one is from our buddy Barry.
Oh,
Barry is a great guy, a super engineer.
Yes.
He also works for Shure. He works out of Dubai, and he does a lot of these live sessions as well for drums and guitars and stuff. And you can check that all out on the Shure
Absolutely.
Middle
Amazing
East
source of
YouTube
information.
page. Yeah, he's just a world of knowledge. So he wanted to know, what was exactly going on the room mics.
So this is something I don't even know where I picked this trick up from, but when you do 2 figure of 8 patterns, what you
Yeah.
can do is I've assigned the same microphone input to 2 channels on the desk.
Right.
And I've panned each of those channels left and right,
Right.
and one channel on one side is phase flipped.
Right.
and it's like multing, and it's like a mid-side thing, but I've done it for both.
Right.
So essentially, it gives you like a much wider. And then what you do with room mics is you really smash them. What I've done, I put this compressor on like a really aggressive ratio.
Yeah.
And I just smashed the living daylight out of it. And if we listen back, I'm just going to mute everything.
Yeah, mute everything else. Let's just hear
let's just listen back to the rooms, and you can see what each of them does. If you want, I can switch off the process. There's a little bit of EQ on them as well. You can have a look. It's just shaped.
Yeah. It's kind of just shaped so that we pick up the drum more naturally.
Yeah.
In the like I said, the whole idea should be like how, if you're standing in the room and you can hear the drums, how do you get that same sound to come through the room mics into your recording or onto your live thing. Now, there was a question a little earlier about using room mics in live. Now, that's not too common, obviously. You can't really do that.
You're going to pick up everything else
You'll
on
pick
stage.
up everything else. But, you know, in studio, that's where you have, you know, you have the space, you have the room, you have the dryness kind of to actually add the room mics to make it sound more natural.
The isolation also. So.
Exactly. So let's listen to no other mics. We're just listening to the room mics.
Yeah. The one thing I'd like to mention before is that smashing room mics with compression increases the length. It makes it seem like the room is a little bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
Which is also a very commonly applied trick. You can just go with any compressor that you have.
Yeah.
And you can just like use a very high ratio and like smash it and see what it sounds like, see what it does. It's just an experiment.
I mean, over here also there's nothing really fancy.
Nothing.
It's just everything that's available on the desk, you know, stock stuff basically.
Yep, pretty much. So
cool.
I'm gonna mute our mics. Yeah. Yeah, so I in between I switched off the compressor so you can kind of hear what the compressor is doing. Kind of knocks off a little bit of the top end as well, but it's just mostly just extending the length of the room and maybe even bringing the level down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a very, like if we were to take out our headphones and maybe I don't know, it is quite loud in here, but if we were to take out our headphones, that's what the drums actually sound like
in the room.
In the room, yeah. So that's basically with as far as the settings for the room mics go. And what should we do now? Should we?
And the last thing that you put on the drums is a reverb.
Little reverb, yeah.
Typically, I've just used the plate which is available on the desk again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everything, and you can just listen to the whole drum kit in context. With the reverb quite high, and then I'm just going to bring the reverb down to an appropriate level so that you guys know like typically what it should sound like.
Right.
Yeah, muting the bells.
Yeah.
Jai, give us some grooves. So I think everyone can tell that the reverb just adds that little extra explosion in the sound if you're really like looking for it. It's again just a basic.
I mean, you can get a lot of that room sound from the room mics, and that's where you need maybe a little less reverb in the studio, but you need a little more of that reverb when you actually go live to make that room sound. What's a common technique that we normally do, which is you have a group for the drums, you run that to a reverb, a small reverb, make it sound like a room, and then you mix that back in with the dry tracks. Like, that's much typically what we do for live sound.
And then you add another larger reverb and give you the reverb sound, basically, because you're missing a room.
Exactly. So cool. If you guys, I see like a bunch of questions here as well, but we'll take those in a bit. And if you guys have any more questions, please type them down here. Whatever we can take, we can take. Else, we'll reply to the questions on the feed tomorrow. So let's just hear the entire kit now with all the mics on, with the reverbs, kind of in a finished kind of state. And after that, we'll get into actually listening to the drums mixed in against some music, basically. So let's do that.
Just a bunch of personalities in the head coming out.
Yeah, I mean it's cool that you get to listen to different styles in one take, and kind of what we have going, or what Kuber has going right now on the console, is kind of making it work for all of that. Like, we didn't have to drastically shift out and move stuff out, in order to make it work, which I think at the end of the day should be the way it should be.
We're not really doing anything to super enhance the sound or anything. We're just like making minor corrections, and like that's pretty much what is required every day. Maybe we should listen to this against some music.
We'll listen to that. I'll take a few questions. We have one from Joel, which is basically if he's streaming from home, which is actually what you, Jay, started doing at the, you started doing lessons and streaming from home. You can very easily go with just a pair of room mics. You can go with just a pair of overhead mics. Something good enough. You can use that even for teaching and for instruction and whatnot.
Much a kick. I
think the
overheads which should do.
The basic 4 setup that you were saying would work ideally. Great for something like that.
And in fact, it's quite easy to set that up. Have all the mics coming into like a 4-channel sound card that can go out via Zoom, and you can do instruction that way. You can stream live to your Facebook and YouTube. You can even use some of the sound cards and stream straight to Instagram if you want. Like, it's definitely you don't need like all of the stuff. If you're working from home, 2 mics, 4 mics at the most should be more than sufficient.
Sorry, I'd like to add, I mean, what we did that really helped me was he actually mixed my drums from his house. Because that's how you'd be hearing them on, like, say, Zoom.
I did a Zoom mix.
So it actually worked out really well.
Because why we were on TeamViewer?
TeamViewer, sharing screen.
Sharing screens.
And you can share screen on Zoom as well now. And then,
Yes.
added the right reverb, bunch of, stuff like that.
So you actually listen to it like what it's in fact going to sound like when you're actually streaming. I mean, the worst thing is if you go through all the effort of getting all the kit and then it it doesn't translate well.
On the stream.
It's a little pointless. So shall we listen to? Shall we listen? We have some more questions. Thank you, Bajao and everyone else for this workshop. Sunil, Pro Sound and Lights, you're most welcome. I'm sure at some point the other three of us have kind of worked probably with Sunil. I don't know where Sunil's from, but probably.
Most definitely have worked.
Yeah. So cool. Let's listen to some songs. And
Clips. Let's
some
call
clips.
them clips.
Yeah, they're not
since
songs,
we
they're
don't-
clips.
Yeah, I'd love to play songs, but I don't think we have time.
Yeah,
to
we don't have too much
whole
time to go
songs.
into that. But the three clips that we've selected are all very different. And that's just to show you, different styles. Not only, I mean, I remember Jai starting in where was it? Pin Drop Violence many years ago, which was metal. And now he plays with Blackstratblues. He plays with a lot of bands. So we'll listen to three clips. All three clips are completely different, and we'll see how the drums translate with the backing track. Yep, let's listen to that. The first song, you guys can guess what song this is and let us know. Maybe we might have a special prize for someone if they get it right, and someone who gets all three songs correct.
Well, it's difficult to get one of the three.
It's difficult to get one. It's actually
'Cause
difficult to
unreleased.
get two of these correct. For the newer bunch, both of these.
Yeah, we actually have a clip from a song that's unreleased,
Yeah.
and
It's a tiny clip.
It's a small
tiny
clip, yeah.
but
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later. Okay.
But
so
yeah, do you wanna? Can I just check my snare tuning real quick?
yeah, please
sure.
turn off the lavs.
Yeah,
Can maybe just keep the drums on.
yeah.
Yep.
So I did drop it here for this song because I like the way it sits.
Yeah.
It'll sit a bit better. And
Yeah.
whenever
Yeah.
you want to go, it's just a little clip.
Let's
Yep.
check it out. Yeah,
All right, let's
meeting-
go,
meeting
guys.
labs.
Let's have a listen to this.
That was a song by Slayer. In case you guys.
Yeah, that was brutal, absolute
Yeah,
brutality
yeah.
from. We should, in fact, thank Warren Mendonsa
Yeah,
for
letting us
loaning
use-
us this track.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. It's recorded.
It's called
very well.
Northstar for
It's
people
called
that don't know.
Northstar. Yeah, people already have Northstar.
Yeah, for me, it's one of my favorite songs off of that album, just
Yeah.
because I just wanted to make a simple groove sound as interesting and
Yeah.
as fun for me to play live.
Yep, yep.
And I wanted to check the snare tuning because the way that I'm not playing super busy,
Yeah,
and I like a thick snare
yeah.
that's kind of snarey, if that makes
Snarey,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
so that's the idea behind this. But if you want to really, I was talking about the dampening. Can I do an AB real quick with and without the little cloth that I
Yeah,
have here?
okay, let's do that.
So, sorry, real quick, it's just, I literally got a tiny piece of cloth and clipped it onto the snare drum.
Yeah,
It's about 2 inches and it's super thin. It's the kind of cloth that you wipe your glasses with. Like that,
Yeah.
that's how thin it is.
right.
And it makes the world of a difference, man. It just controls things. And again, you tune according to the room and you play according to the room as much
Right.
as possible.
Absolutely.
If I were in a big stadium, auditorium, I'd probably tune it differently and
Yeah,
dampen it differently as well.
yeah.
So I'm just going to play just kick and snare, and then while I'm playing, I'm going to take it off, and you guys can
Yeah,
tell
let's
the
do that.
difference.
Yeah, let's try that. Yeah.
just you can tell the
Yeah, you
difference
could tell
right
it
away.
immediately.
And there's nothing, there's no like, honestly, there's no like right or wrong way. It's just what works for you personally. It's just a personal thing.
Yeah, today we weren't looking for so much ring at the end,
But again, say I could make this interesting, right? Okay, the way to do it was, let me see if I can tweak it up a little bit more and loosen the snare wires, the hair, and say I want to play with that ring. Let's see how that works. And what mic? You have all the mics on now?
Yeah, everything's
on. Yeah.
So cool. I just
you can just play
tweak the snare drum a bit higher. Got the snare wires tad looser, and just play with that ring. See what I can do with this tuning basically.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So I almost never play, like that. But it's
make
fun.
it
I
more-
love it, dude. I love it. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's the thing, right? A sound can kind of make you want to play differently and hear things differently. So it's cool.
Yep.
I enjoy as much as I can try and find ways to get the most out of each drum and each cymbal.
Yep. Nice one. Nice one. So shall we move to the next?
Oh yeah, can I?
Yeah.
Should I deaden?
Are we moving to this? Or are we moving to this
We're
one?
moving to this one.
This one.
No, we'll do the dead one in the end.
We'll do the dead one in the end.
Oh, so we're doing the.
This is the old school Jai.
Oh yeah. This is the next song by Metallica, baby.
You wanna tune the snare back to its
Oh yeah. Good call, man. Thank you. So yeah, we gotta have the snare sitting.
Engineer always to the rescue.
Yeah, this guy knows his drums, dude. He knows. He really does know his drums. I mean, he knows tunings. He understands tunings, and that's cool.
I know that tuning is not gonna work for this song.
Yeah, you never know. You never know until you never know, right?
That's true.
Well, this is a surprise. Maybe you guys can let us know what this next song that's coming up.
Next clip. Fali, stop calling it a
sorry,
song.
the next clip. You might have to come back here and do a full bunch of.
Hey,
maybe
man.
we can do a full band over here the next time.
I'd love to.
Nice one. Cool. Yeah. So.
Are you ready?
1 second. I just wanna.
Yeah.
Just
The
kill
snare
my-
has
kill my
more
mic.
ring. That's true. Kaustubh says, how do you zero in on a snare tuning for a song, and what points do you keep in mind? Good question. While you were tuning the snare.
Yeah, I think great question. Actually, it's again like that song Northstar. It's super spacey, so you want to have as much body as possible. At least the way I look at it. Length. Yeah, you don't want any. But again, you don't want like a pang, and it's kind of like the snare's not gonna resonate like that anyway.
Yeah.
But the point is, you want something that sits and it doesn't really stick out of the music.
Yeah.
In terms of even the tone, I mean, I never really tune to a pitch or anything per se. It's more kind of what I'm hearing in my head.
What you're hearing, yeah.
And this is an example of.
Is it tempo related? I mean, do you think?
I think like so. I mean, I think
Quicker
if
songs
your
you can
snare's
go
like
up.
super dead,
Yeah.
and you're playing a bunch of notes on it, it's gonna sound messy.
Yeah.
So if there's like heaps of space, you want like either
A little bit more length, or
Exactly.
do it with reverb, or
or you want it super dead, which we're gonna get into later as well.
yeah.
But yeah.
So there are some questions with some folks want to have a look at, in fact, that cloth. So I'm actually going to switch to the other camera.
Okay.
And if you can just, just take it off and.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's just have
It's
a
a
look at it.
tiny
Give me a
piece
sec.
of
It's a
cloth.
Should
tiny
I
piece of cloth.
Use this camera here.
Yeah, you can just show them that camera's live now.
Okay.
So you
yeah,
can see
it's
that
a-
little greenish, yellowish piece of cloth. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little cloth, and without. You want to kill my mic real quick?
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that sound.
Yeah.
It's just I want
a little
little more
hang.
control
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
how I play today or how I'm going
Again,
to
it's
play
a,
today.
it's a song. If it's a long show, you might have some songs where you might pull it off because
Yeah.
it works for that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other parts, it might come back. So it has to work with
Yeah.
what you're playing. Like
Absolutely.
that's the
And
bottom line.
what I do is I literally just take. What sometimes works is just a T-shirt, and you may want to get into just this part of the drum. But what I'm doing today is literally place it here, about an inch. It's covering about an inch of the drum.
Yeah.
Use these little clip things.
Paper clips?
No, they are lapel clips.
Okay.
Fancy.
But you can use paper clips, yeah.
Yeah,
Anything to just.
And make sure it's kind of evenly placed, just like that.
Yeah.
Kill the mic, please. So again, it's trial and error. That's the only way to see what works. And there's like a million ways to dampen drums. There's a million products that you get things like moon gels and damping gels, and I find like they kill that's
Maybe too
overkill.
much, yeah.
Overkill, yeah.
But again, if that's the sound you're going for, that's great.
Yep.
But that's not what we want here today.
There's
So
no
just
right or wrong method.
Really?
No, it's just
Yeah,
what works. What
yeah.
works.
yeah.
Cool. Let's go into
The next.
old Jai clip. Incidentally,
clip.
this song has also been composed and did you record it and played
Yeah.
on by the
Yeah.
gentleman sitting next to me.
This
Kuber,
is,
this is one of Kuber's songs from his band Pangea. We used to have a lot of fun mixing
Yeah,
this
Fali
song
used to be a
live.
front of house engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was great not having any vocals. Alright, cool. Let's listen
Just
to
a
this
little,
song.
yeah.
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 Well, the idea behind this was to show you. I mean, again, same room, same mics. I'm not really going to do much, but I'm going to be
No
playing.
change in EQ.
The
just-
music
yeah.
requires me to play loud and consistent, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm going to do.
Also, I think to a point, like if you're just going for a drum kit sound and you tune your kit well and everything is phase intact and
Yeah.
it's decently gated in EQ and on, you can mostly just with the playing and little
Right,
bit
the
of
levels
tuning,
and-
the
yeah.
levels, it can like apply to many forms of music. I'm not saying one drum sound will work for everything, but I
Absolutely.
feel like generally if you follow the right, just make sure that everything is okay while recording, it should work for
Yeah,
for
sure.
a bunch of
Sure.
different types of
Yeah,
songs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Okay.
So let's listen to this song.
Yeah.
Let's mute our mics.
There was some gentle.
Gentle smashing.
Soft.
Oh, stop the click.
Stop the click. Oh, the track's still
Oh,
running.
no!
Oh, fail. Okay.
But yeah, the idea was to just smash, man,
Yeah.
on that. And
No, I mean you could really feel the aggression now coming out in that track, and we've not really done anything.
Nothing.
It's just the playing that's kind of come in over there.
that's exactly how I would play it live.
yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily record it like that.
yeah,
In terms of smashing the cymbals that
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
It doesn't really call for it if you think about
If
it,
you think about it,
because
yeah.
I could get that, but that's just the way that music's
Yep.
supposed to be played.
Yep.
And that's the fun of it, man.
Cool. So we in fact have people. I see a few people here from Africa who say, yes, the little cloth trick. A lot of people thank you for that because it's not something that they've thought of doing before. But it makes basically he says tuning of the snare to get different sounds much easier and much faster. In fact, than yeah, exactly the cloth and whatnot. There's Tabai Datta that says thank you for that awesome cloth idea. So I think we're going to see a lot of people actually using this now.
That's the easiest way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's inexpensive, it's efficient,
Yeah.
And if you forget your dampening system at home, you can just ask someone for a pair of
Yep. Here's a good question from Joel, and what we'll do is we'll let Jay set up for the next track, and in fact for that what he's got going is he's in fact going to what do you call it? He's going to change out his snare drum
and a ride as well.
and a ride as well, because the next song requires a different snare sound, a different ride sound.
Completely different kit sound actually, but it's mostly just to do with the damping.
The
right?
damping, yeah. So while he gets on with that, let's take some questions, and this is a nice one from Joel. How do we make sure that the cymbals, he says are harsh, but he means are not harsh while smashing them, which is a great question, in fact.
Two-part question, I think, or two-part answer. I feel like one is in the playing. I mean, if you look at Jay's technique for playing, even though he's hitting the cymbals with some, he's making them loud, he's not hitting them in a way where they sound harsh.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if your overhead mics are too
also,
close,
they are really good cymbals.
They are really good cymbals.
They are really good cymbals that sit real. Like this is a 22-inch crash.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, it just sits really well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And there's nothing brash about.
Did we run everyone through what cymbals you're actually using?
No, I can get into that.
Yeah.
In a
So
second.
once you set up, we'll get into that first,
Sure.
so that people know what cymbals you're using.
The other thing is, I think, is that you should get enough height on your overhead mics. If they're too close, you're likely to experience some harshness in the sense that people tend to get. People tend to look at overhead mics. For live application, I can understand, because you're trying to isolate everything and you're trying to prevent other stuff from bleeding into your microphone.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
in the studio, if you don't get enough distance,
Right.
then you're only looking at cymbals, with your mic. I mean, that's basically what it's primarily going to pick up.
Okay, so what do you want to, are you tuning or you're putting the...
Yeah, if you want to just kill my mic for a second. Yeah, my vocal mic.
Your lav is on, you can speak on that.
Oh, okay.
The
No,
drums are
I
off.
just need to.
Drums are turned off for
Okay.
now. That's fine.
I'm just putting on the bottom mic.
Yeah, go for it. Your mom says hi.
Oh, hey.
So what else do we have as far as... there are a lot of drummers on this stream, firstly, Jay. There's
cool.
Quab.
Cool.
A lot of people that I've seen before this as well. So here's a question. Does gating the drum kill the dynamics? Very good question.
Yes, it does. It doesn't kill the dynamics, but you have to manage bleed and not. So what I was talking about earlier, if we can switch to the screen again. This is again.
There we go.
Right.
Yep.
So now you can see what I'm doing on the console. What basically is happening is that I'm keying the gates, which keying means there's a sidechain input, and the detector of the gate is only reading. You see that black? You see the black on the on the filter on the left. It says self-keyed and then one. So I'm telling the gate only look at that frequency region. So in a tom, for example, this is what? This is tom 1, right? The rack tom.
Yeah.
It's going to kind of ring over there. It's just going to have that sound, and that's what goes on for the longest. The initial attack of the drum goes away after hitting it. So what you can do is you can ask the gate to focus in on that, and it'll only close once that goes away, and it'll only open when that resonant frequency is
when you hear that
triggered
resonant
beyond
frequency.
it, when it hears that resonant frequency. So that's one way of not killing the dynamics of your drums while gating and cleaning up all the bleed. Well, not all the bleed,
and
but some of the bleed.
I'll tell you guys an interesting story. This technique, in fact, I got to know many years ago when we were doing tech support for one Sepultura show in Shillong or somewhere in the northeast, and we learned this from him. At that point there were no in-ear monitors, it was all wedges, and he's like, the drum wedges used to be so loud with so much guitars coming through that if you don't use this technique, it's nearly impossible to gate the drums. This way, only when it hears whatever frequency you have there, like anywhere between 150 upwards, 200, 300 maybe. Yeah. That's only where the gate opens. Otherwise, it doesn't open at all.
That's one way of helping out, not killing the dynamics with the gate.
Yeah. So another question here is great sound. Your brother Janak is on the. Hey Janak. Quab, we are in Bajao studio in Andheri East. This is their setup here, and they've been very helpful in letting us use the studio. Hey Sean.
Hi.
Sean, come in the camera, say hi.
Really hope you guys are having fun. Shall we once again?
Cool. All right, so let's get into the last mic that we have, last clip that we have.
Yeah, I just want to get into,
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to talk about this sound, again, you'd obviously change a whole lot of things like a kick drum as well, but I mean, we don't have too much time. But so what I did right now is I literally just had old drum heads that I owned and cut them out. So just cut out the little steel, the aluminum frame,
Yeah.
and you place it, and then you have again a free mute.
Yeah.
And this sound is probably like reminiscent of the 70s.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that the Motown, And as far as the snare drum goes, I have this, like I was saying, the Pearl reference brass, which is again a 14 by 6.5, and I have this thing called the big fat snare drum, which is basically a fancier version of this homemade mute, but it does have a cutout here. So this is called the donut, and you just literally, I can show you what it sounds like without and then with.
Yeah, let's just.
So again, this is a brass snare drum with an Evans Power Center reverse dot head with 32 strand snare wires. I really like wide. Yeah, but the other one has 50, by the way. I forgot to mention that.
50.
50, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
It's like that thick, because then the drum becomes super sensitive.
Yeah.
I like that about a snare. But yeah, let me get into this real quick. I'll just show you what it sounds like without any dampening, wide open.
Yeah.
I haven't really tuned it, so I'm going to tune it with you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, we can mute our mics, turn on the drums, and
sure.
we can
Let's
tune
check
it.
it out.
Yeah.
As you can probably tell, it's a metal drum, so it's got a ton, of hank happening, which is the quality of metal snare drum, right?
Especially
So-
brass.
Yeah, especially brass. So what I'm doing is I'm literally just detuning it as much as I can go, almost little over finger tight, all over the drum evenly. This is one way of doing it, I guess, and then,
You could do the bottom 3 lugs only and just
yeah,
really
exactly.
leave them if you want.
Yeah. But I literally want it to be as dead as I can right now, kind of in that zone. So this is what it sounds like, again, muted.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to loosen the snare wires more. So if you want to just mute
so
me
I'm
real
just
quick.
going to mute the mics.
It actually sounds like a tom. It's resonating.
Resonating like a tom, exactly.
Yeah, it's at 3
exactly.
mm brass, man.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to loosen the snare wires again, a little bit. And now I'm going to put the big fat snare drum on there, and it's going to sound
Completely different.
like an 808.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yep.
And a trick of playing that is also usually, I mean, when I play, I'm always hitting rim shots. Here,
Right.
I'm literally hitting only the center of the
Center.
drum.
Yeah.
No rim shots, because I'll show you the sound difference with that. And I'm also going to play the toms a bit, so just you guys know what the vibe is.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just listen to some grooves with
Yeah.
this drum sound. Yeah. Nothing, no change.
Nothing
No change
else,
from
yeah.
our end,
Nothing.
yeah. It's
Uh,
just
the damping.
The only other thing I've swapped is I've swapped my ride, because
Right.
I've gotten this 22 vintage pure light ride Bisons made by Meinl, and it's again it's not as big as the ride I had earlier, which was the pure alloy, and this just a lot more washy, but
Washy.
dry.
Drier, yeah.
it's again for this song. Works
Yeah, it's
for this
just
song
yeah
that
for
we-
this
for this
sound
clip that we're
for,
gonna
for
do.
this sound as well is what I
Yeah.
want to demonstrate, where it's kind of the old school
Cool.
kind of thing.
70s
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. All right.
So I'll just show you, with rim shot, without rim shot, little tom thing, and then we can go into the song.
Yeah. Nice one.
I'm trying to play like I'm trying to go back in my head and play fills that kind of sounded like that as well.
Joel here says that sounds exactly like a sample pack, and that's exactly the sound that we're going for. You know, it
Thanks,
sounds
man.
like an 808.
Yeah.
That's the whole whole
And
game.
literally, you
basically.
guys saw what I did. I literally just, you know, the drums exactly tuned the way it was. I haven't touched the toms. I just messed around with the snare drum. Kick drum is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I'm not digging in as hard as I was when I was playing earlier. That's the other trick with the kick drum. Kind of play off the head.
Also, we've had to push the dry mics on the snare a little bit because it takes the volume off slightly.
For sure.
I mean, when using damping, you know that you're going to lose some volume on the
drums. So this little clip that I'm about to play is really short. This artist that Kuber and I worked with recently called Zohran Miranda, and
very talented songwriter.
Yeah, he wrote some really funky songs, and we had to recreate this sound in a way. And it was fun, man. It was fun doing it, and it's unreleased. That's why I just literally play you.
We took his permission.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zohran.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zohran.
And sorry, another thing I wanted to add real quick is the hi-hats I'm playing. They're huge. They're chunky. They're like 16-inch extra dry.
Wow.
And the idea is, again, you can hear
a very clear.
Yeah, but they're dry. They don't like get in the way of things, and they just feel like a massive, sweet hug. I think so.
All right, cool. Shall we go for this one?
Check it out. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all the clip we had, but I was having so much fun. I didn't want to stop.
Yeah, that's a great song. Like, you know, just something so different than what we.
And what
used
I
to
do,
doing these days.
it's different from what I usually get called for as well, man. So I had a blast doing it. But yeah, even like the way that I was playing, the posture, kind of change it up.
And this was all still this song, in fact, that you recorded was recorded at home.
Yeah.
You recorded this at home.
Yeah, with Kuber.
Yeah. So I mean, stand by for when Zohran actually releases this.
Not long. We're just in the middle of the animation video.
And we had the lovely Rushad Mystery on bass.
Oh my gosh, Rushad Mystery. Lovely. So that pretty much brings us to the end of this session. We have a bunch more questions, but we'll answer those questions offline later. You know, we'll spend our morning answering questions. So that's pretty much it from us. If you guys have any more questions or whatnot, please feel free to type them down, and we will make sure that we answer them very soon. Any parting words, Jay?
Have fun.
Have fun.
This is it's never ending. That's the one thing. Getting drums, getting drum sound, recording drums.
Yeah.
It's never ending, and just be open to learn new things. As sometimes they'll be so far away from what you think you know.
Yep.
That that might blow your mind, and that's life, man. I guess.
Yep.
That's life,
Exactly.
Man.
That's life.
That's deep. That's deep, man.
Cool. All right, Kuber.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thank you. Thanks, Shure, Bajao.
Thank you guys
for this
watching.
space. And honestly, I had a blast doing this, man. I've been sitting at home for a year, and I'm bored out of my mind. But this was fun to get out.
Nothing better than chilling out here and just geeking out to tech and gear and.
I could do this for like 6 hours, but I don't know if.
I would do this. I would answer the questions for 5 hours.
Sure.
More than well.
Hey, thanks, man.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us for this session, and we're going to do this session more often. The next one that we have coming up is guitars. If you have some recommendations of who we should get in to be part of the guitar session, again, please type it down here, and we'll make sure, we'll try and figure out if we can get them to come in for the guitar session. My name is Fali Damania. I work with Shure, and this is us signing off this evening. Have a great weekend, stay safe, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.